story begins with Mickey smoking a cigarette and listening to music, but suddenly his headphones stop working, so he heads back to the porch to replace the batteries. Not long after, Ben's shouting a warning as he suddenly comes running out of the house and immediately opens fire. Later, they stop at another abandoned house and head down to the basement, where Ben teaches Mickey how to shoot zombies. Before long, however, they run out of gas and are forced to continue their journey on foot. Despite living in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, the two seem to enjoy their daily lives. They travel from place to place, scavenging for supplies, playing in rivers, relaxing on the beach, and finding brief moments of peace between their adventures. Moments later, Mickey scratches a lottery ticket and wins $1,000. But Ben quickly reminds him that money is worthless now before inviting him to play catch instead. Soon after, they continue their journey and search another abandoned house. Later, Ben starts fishing and asks Mickey to join him, but Mickey is far too lazy to do anything. Soon after, Mickey grows frustrated, arguing that the forest isn't any safer since they keep encountering zombies despite Ben's assurances. Not long after, they discover an abandoned car and decide to investigate. After luring the zombie trapped inside out of the vehicle and take a closer look. However, the smell inside is absolutely terrible. But the car is still in working condition, with the windows rolled down, the warm breeze rushing through the cabin, and a clear blue sky stretching endlessly overhead. The two continue traveling down the open road. Later, they stop the car, and Mickey opens the sunroof to enjoy the view. However, the sunlight is far too bright, forcing him to close it again. Meanwhile, Ben checks the radio, but there is still nobody on the air. Not long after, they arrive at another abandoned house. Right then, Mickey sits into a neatly woman's bedroom. Moments later, he rummages through the dressing table and finds a CD, which he immediately starts playing. He then opens a drawer filled with underwear, takes one out, and awkwardly smells it. He even sprays some perfume and tests the scent before deciding to keep it. Meanwhile, in the garage, Ben searches through a tool cabinet, looking for anything useful. Later, outside in the yard, the two brush their teeth before Ben shows Mickey a small space behind the car where they can sleep. However, Mickey wants to stay at the house a little longer. Ben firmly refuses, reminding him that the last time they stayed too long in one place, they ran out of food and were forced to eat a dog. Soon after breakfast, the two take a stroll through the deserted town, soaking in the quiet scenery and enjoying a rare moment of peace during their journey. Later, Mickey inserts fresh batteries into a radio they found earlier, while Ben practices swinging a baseball bat in the background. At one point, Ben suddenly pretends to be a zombie, startling Mickey before warning him not to wear headphones all the time. Afterward, they test the radio, and it works perfectly as Ben farting into the microphone. Not long after, Mickey suddenly hears someone speaking through the radio and eagerly tries to communicate with them. However, the strangers make it clear that they are not welcome. Even though Mickey pleads with them and offers to work together, they stop responding entirely. Mickey tries explaining the situation to Ben, but Ben remains completely relaxed about it. Since they are not wanted, he sees no reason to worry. Mickey, however, cannot accept it. He is tired of wandering endlessly and desperately wants to find other survivors. A few days later, Mickey is still trying to contact them, but there is still no response. Ben does his best to make him understand and move on, but Mickey refuses to listen. Moments later, the two end up arguing again while searching another abandoned house. Suddenly, Mickey discovers a zombie inside. Ben immediately rushes over to deal with it, but right then, Mickey starts being a nuisance again, making the situation even more frustrating. Meanwhile, while Ben is bathing in the forest, Mickey sleeps inside the car. Not long after, a zombie slowly approaches the vehicle. Mickey suddenly wakes up and notices Ben is nowhere around. Realizing the zombie is a woman, Mickey becomes distracted and starts touching himself. But just as the situation has reached the point of no return, a gunshot rings out. The zombie drops dead instantly. Standing nearby, Ben can't help but laugh after realizing exactly what Mickey was doing. Moment after the incident with the female zombie, the two continue exploring the area on foot. House after house, they test the doors and step inside, then search the rooms for anything useful before moving on. Not long after, the two arrive at another abandoned house and carefully search the interior. While exploring, Mickey discovers a bedroom that is surprisingly clean and well kept. Wanting a brief escape from the endless nightmare outside, he firmly asks Ben if they can stay the night. For once, he just wants to feel normal again. Moments later, Mickey notices his headphones are missing from his bag, so he goes looking for Ben outside and finds him using them. He asks to borrow them for a while, explaining that he's the one constantly dealing with zombies and could use a break from reality too. Back in the bedroom, Mickey once again tries contacting Annie, the woman he previously heard speaking over the radio. Just when he thinks nobody is going to answer, Annie finally responds. However, the reality of her situation is nothing like what Mickey imagined. Despite her explanation, Mickey stubbornly insists on finding a way to join them and return to a normal life. Annie quickly loses patience and harshly tells him to stay off the channel. That night, while Ben relaxes by listening to music and dancing around the house, he suddenly hears something moving outside. The next day, Ben places a baseball bat beside the sleeping Mickey before quietly heading outdoors. He retrieves a zombie he had tied to a tree that night and drags it into the room where Mickey is sleeping, holding the door shut from the outside, and encourage him to fight. Moments later, the room erupts with sounds of panic, crashing furniture, and growling. Ben yells for Mickey to use the bat beside the bed. Eventually, he opens the door. Inside, the zombie lies dead on the bed while Mickey stands there covered in blood. Furious, Mickey immediately punches Ben in the face before storming out of the house, but Ben only laughs, calling after him and congratulating him on his first kill. Soon after, Mickey walks outside wearing nothing but his underwear while Ben follows behind, trying to talk some sense into him. Before long, Mickey finally opens up and admits what's really bothering him. Annie doesn't want to talk to him. After hearing him out, Ben stays by his side. Eventually, the two start playing catch together, and little by little, Mickey's mood begins to improve. Moments later, they come across a car abandoned in the middle of the road and stop to siphon fuel from it. However, Mickey notices that the engine is still warm. Sensing something is wrong, Ben calls out for the owner, but no one responds. He proceeds to check the tank anyway, only to discover there's no fuel left. Just then, Mickey suddenly calls out to him. To his shock, Mickey is being held hostage by a stranger with a knife pressed against his throat. The man demands their car keys. Ben tries to negotiate and calmly talk him down, but the stranger refuses to listen and keeps insisting on the keys. Eventually, Ben tells him they're inside the car. The man demands his gun, but Ben insists on keeping it. The moment the man gets in, Ben pulls the keys out of his pocket. Realizing he's been tricked, the stranger immediately flees. But before he can escape, Ben shoots him from a distance. He then walks over and finishes him off. When Ben returns, Mickey protests. Ben explains that he didn't have a choice. Not long after, another vehicle approaches. Ben immediately goes on alert. A woman steps out and explains that they came looking for the car. Even so, Ben refuses to trust them, especially after noticing she isn't alone. Only when she orders her companion to lower his weapon does Ben reluctantly lower his own. Right then, she asks about the man who had been driving the car. Ben lies, claiming the man had been bitten and he was forced to kill him. As the woman prepares to leave, Mickey suddenly recognizes her voice. The moment he calls her name, suddenly she shoots Ben in the leg while her companion rushes forward and takes his gun. Annie sternly warns Mickey about the people in her group and tells him he has no idea what he's dealing with. Before leaving, she throws their car keys deep into the tall grass and gives them one final warning. By dusk, Mickey desperately searches for the keys, but the grass is far too thick and darkness is quickly approaching. With Ben unable to move because of his injury, they have little choice but to wait until morning. Moment later, Mickey hears something, so they switch on the headlights and realize a zombie horde is closing in on them. Panic instantly takes over. Mickey prepares to run, but Ben can barely move from his wound, leaving them trapped as the horde closes in. The next day, they find themselves trapped inside the car, surrounded by zombies on all sides. Ben tries picking them off one by one, but there are simply too many. With no way out, the two are forced to wait. Hours pass, then days, yet nothing changes. That night, Mickey struggles to fall asleep. By the following morning, he covers every window with blankets, trying to block out the endless sight of the undead surrounding them. As their supplies continue to dwindle, Ben carefully prepares a meal and pours all the remaining broth into a water bottle, knowing they may need every last drop. Another day passes. Eventually, Ben reaches his breaking point. Unable to handle the situation any longer, he suggests they get drunk. The next morning, Mickey comes up with a desperate plan. He leaves the vehicle to lure the zombies away and soon hears metallic clanking echoing through the area. Hours later, he finally returns. The first thing Ben asks about is the car keys, but Mickey doesn't answer. Instead, he slowly reveals a bite wound on his hand. Panic instantly sets in. Ben freezes. Then, without a word, he raises his gun and points it at his best friend. Struggling with the decision, Ben hesitates, but in the end, he pulls the trigger. The following day, Ben is still reeling from what happened. The weight of his decision follows him everywhere. Alone for the first time, he focuses only on surviving each day as it comes. At one point, he contacts Annie through the radio and angrily threatens her, promising that if he ever gets out of this situation, he'll find her. Then Ben tears down the blankets covering the windows and opens the back door of the car, and finally escapes the trap that held him for days, and with revenge on his mind, he sets off to find Annie.